me on our virtual stage is Jay Calavas. He is Tealium's head of vertical products. Jay has been with Tealium for 12 years, since the very beginning. He's helped position and drive Tealium to where we are today. He also happens to be a ton of fun. Jay, thank you so much for being here with us. Now, let's kick off our live CTO panel discussion. Today, we are delighted to host both Matt Rhoton and Nick Albertini in a lively discussion with Jay about their current perspectives and approaches in today's dynamic environment as CTOs. Matt Rhoton is the Chief Technology Officer for EdPlus at Arizona State University. He's a data-driven leader. He's committed to the discovery and creation of user-focused platforms and technologies, as well as the pioneering spirit of EdPlus. Nick Albertini is the Chief Technology Officer at Acceleration, a part of WPP and operated by Group M. He's worked in digital technology and marketing for over 15 years across all major industries, supporting customers like Dell, United Healthcare, Air Canada, Peloton, Dr. Pepper Snapple Group, amazing brands. Gentlemen, thank you all for being here. And Jay, I'm going to hand it to you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. And Matt, Nick, thank you so much for being here. We are closing down Digital Velocity. We're the final session. We made it, and I've been looking forward to this all week. So I'm really excited about this conversation. So just to kind of sum up Digital Velocity up until this point, it's been all about future-proofing your organization. Day one was about powering customer centricity. Heard from some amazing speakers about the approaches to get there. And then second, day two was about harnessing privacy and security, which I believe is the cornerstone of powering. It's kind of the fuel to get to that future-proofing capability set. Today, we're going to bring it all together by discussing how unified data is the fuel that supercharges the tech stack. So let's jump right in. So let's talk about the importance of unified data across all of your systems. Matt, let's start with you.
Sure. Hey, thanks, Jay. Appreciate the introduction, Lauren, as well. Happy to be here. So EdPlus at ASU, for those that do not know, we oversee all of ASU online. So we service all the online students. So just to give you a lay of the land, last year we served over 90,000 students across 100 different countries. So obviously technology and scaling technology and data is extremely important to us at ASU. So our goal internally is to simplify the student's journey, and having huge frameworks across the university that we all have access to, like Canvas and Salesforce and PeopleSoft, and using a tool like Tealium to be able to help integrate and unify a lot of that student data to where we can meet them in real time. As many of you know, like we have phones in our face all day long, and we expect that real-time response, and using Tealium to be able to reach out to our students in real time has been incredible. Jay, if I got a second, I can give you like 2 really quick use cases if that helps.
That would be fantastic. Thanks, Matt.
Cool. So yeah, real quick, we had a recent use case with our student finance team. And so if you're not aware of the student process and getting financial aid, if you need that to go to school, there are several weeks in the middle of every term where students receive federal financial aid, and to return part of those funds, they have to receive, if they withdraw from a course, they may have to return some of those funds. And our students we were realizing really quickly that our students did not know that. And so if they go to drop a course, and they do proceed to drop that course, they may be responsible to pay potentially thousands of dollars in financial aid. And so we're using Tealium as to be able to track those students. We know where they're going on the site. If they go to the drop page, or in PeopleSoft, if they did drop a course, we can reach out to them and say, hey, just to be aware, you may be responsible for returning some of the financial aid. And so we're saving students thousands of dollars with just a simple use case there on student finances. Another example we're using Tealium for is for our media campaign optimization. And so we're able to do audience exclusion. We're excluding current students from our campaign, so we're not paying for those additional ads. We're doing audience inclusion as well. That's enabling the lookalike audience and being able to remarket and nurture to those students. And then also bid optimization. So we're using Google AI models to look at our lead scores, and we're syncing that and orchestrating that through Tealium as well. So just a couple of small use cases that we've used Tealium for, and couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, I think, it speaks to the concept of real time. Real time isn't always necessary, but when it is, it's incredibly powerful because you can meet someone in the moment with the right message in the right context. So those are fantastic use cases. Thanks, Matt. Nick, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I actually had dinner 2 nights ago with some Tealium folks, and as part of my birthday week, because yesterday was my birthday, and so I'm rounding out my birthday today, being on this. So thank you for having me. Real quick, want to talk about just acceleration for a second, and really how we're leveraging technology like yours to support our clients. We are part of Group M. We are the data and technology services organization. So we work with some of the largest brands in the world across every industry. And what comes to mind right now, and especially when you mentioned real time, and if real time is necessary or not, I've got an exact case where it absolutely is. And it's with one of our clients where have developed a solution that allows us to predict out of stock items and predict lead times for delivery, so that we can save on cancellations, so we can reduce the risk of returning the item or canceling a multi-thousand-dollar order that ultimately results in hundreds of millions of dollars worth of savings for this client. And what's interesting about that is that as real time as we can be, because of distribution delays or items becoming out of stock for very hot items, having that data right at our fingertips is important. But there's a lot of clients that don't require the real-time capability, but instead they require a unified data set that is really rich and understands all of the inputs that we're able to put into it. We build solutions for these clients that has really capable data sets, that's a unified data set, so we can perform modeling on that data, so we can identify those that we want to develop a propensity model. We can identify the top deciles of individuals who we actually want to target, right? We partner with all of the major media companies or media agencies within Group M, like Mediacom, Mindshare, Neo, Wavemaker, and so on, so that we can make their media better. So we can help them to get more out of it. And that all starts with having that unified data set and having it, those profiles enriched with all the data that we're able to capture, essentially.
Super powerful. And I think that speaks to this new concept of composable CDPs and kind of being able to choose your own adventure, where you want to do your machine learning, where you want to have your data lake. Data exists all over the organization. And what you're explaining is kind of the future of how people are going to embrace CDP technology. You may be doing machine learning modeling in your data lake or someplace else, but you want to activate that for in the moment engagement and create intelligent engagement. So that's fantastic. Thanks. And we're going to talk a little bit about composability in a little bit. So let's move on. How are you building a future-proof ecosystem that reduces integration complexity? Nick, let's start with you this time.
Yeah, so we're starting with first-party data foundations. We're really pushing our clients to understand that first-party data is the way of the future. We're dealing with the so scary, personally identifiable information in many instances. And mostly in hashed environments, so you can't really know who that person necessarily is unless you have the master key at the table behind the scenes. But really, this is allowing us to work with, I would say, even as industry leaders are really kicking the can down the road to continue to say, okay, well, hold on, we're not quite deprecating, third-party cookies yet. What we're doing is we're saying, that's great, that gives us a little bit more runway, but it's going to happen. So let's build that future-proof ecosystem that allows us to use first-party data so that we can then integrate with all of the ad tech and martech solutions of the future. One of the ways that we're doing this is obviously with Tealium. So we're able to connect with audience stream and with event stream and call an API with that data already prepared that already has the profiles enriched. It already has the data set in an environment that's ready to go. And then it can push it into a marketing friendly environment to be activated. We don't really know what's going to continue to happen with privacy regulation, if they're going to continue to crack down even further. I mean, in some instances in the EU, even operating system is considered to be PII. So the fact that I'm on a Dell XPS is a no-no for you to know that. So we got to mark that from this transcript. But honestly, I mean, we're doing our best to collect as much information in a compliant environment, in a compliant manner, so that it can be used in the right way. And it can be used for very smart use cases. It helps our clients to get the edge over the competition and prepares them for the future very soon.
Yeah, I think when we always say data collection is a strategy, not an afterthought, right? There's all sorts of tools where you just kind of dump everything into some kind of an environment and then figure it out later. But when you're thoughtful about the way in which you're collecting and managing, especially, highly regulated data sets, downstream, you have a better long-term effect because you know that data has already been through a process and it's ready for utilization. So that if someone's building an audience, they know this data is trusted. It's already been through those regulatory processes, and I can now use that to build whatever I want to. So that's fantastic. Thanks. Matt, how about you?
Yeah, that was great, Nick. I would just add too, internally at EdPlus, we're an innovative unit for the university. So we need to be flexible. We have a flexible framework. We've got to move quickly. Using integrations with Tealium allows us to do that, to be honest with you. I like part of our mission statement. We say this to all of our vendors and guests that come to the office is our goal is to increase student success, and we reduce the barriers to achievement in higher education. So to be able to do that, we have to be able to scale technologies quickly. We have to be able to move quickly. And again, that real-time personalization. I think the big thing moving forward, and with AI coming in play, coming in, what you and I, Jay or Nick, may have realized going to college is you come into a degree program. I think now we're looking at more of an a la carte learner agency model where students can actually real time choose the degree or the courses and programs that they want to take to complete. And that's what we're focused on, and meeting those students in that way. So visitor stitching, identity resolution, all of those, audience segmentation, all of that are big key pieces to what we're looking at in our models as well, and our data.
Yeah, it's having a solution that's out of the box. It already has pre-built integrations, and it has a framework that you can put different policies and procedures in place to ensure things are flowing properly. Really just put the power at your fingertips. And then it's all about dreaming up the use cases. And like you said earlier, meeting the student or the customer where they are, right? Whether that's on the web or in a call center, wherever it may be. So really powerful stuff. So with that being said, packaged versus build. Let's have the old build versus buy conversation, especially with CDPs and all this talk about composability. Do I use a tool to just grab data from someplace else and send it someplace? Do I create an environment where I can do some enrichment, visitor stitching, identity management, consent management? How do you make a decision around that? Nick, specifically with you, obviously you talk to lots of customers, but Matt as well, really curious about this from your perspective. Nick, let's start with you on this one.
Yeah, that's a really big question, actually. Do you build or buy? We tackle that a lot, and we've got a lot of clients who say, if they have a very strong IT department who thinks they can tackle the world, and in some cases they can, but they decide to build, and then 2 years down the road, they're still building. And then they suddenly realize how much in debt, how much of loss of time they have. In some cases, they're very successful, and it's able to work, especially with very sensitive data sets, very sensitive industries. With the typical client, though, we advise them to typically buy. The reason why is because unless you have a fleet of DevOps or a fleet of architects that on call and unlimited funds to continue to encourage to develop and to stay ahead of the changes in APIs and the changes in technology. It's a loser, it's a loss leader, if you will, to choose to really build. What I prefer to do is sort of spin that question and say, it's both. You should build and buy. You should build your own environment, your own cloud environment. So let's say we take GCP, build it in Google Cloud Platform so that you have all this data set in your environment that you can control. But then leverage a solution like Tealium that you can call one simple API. You can push the data out into audience stream, like I said earlier, enrich those profiles. And now you've got hundreds of connectors at your fingertips that are kept up to speed, that are always on, they're always ready to go, that have SLAs assigned to them. And we can now push data directly out to those other vendors, especially with things like enhanced conversions, or most people know as conversion APIs, right? Just the ability to send a server-side connection over to event stream to then connect and send a conversion signal out to SA360 or out to Meta or out to any of the other vendors who are really leaning into first-party data. That's where you should be thinking. That's, build your data environment. That's great. You should, absolutely. And, companies like mine can absolutely help you with that. But leverage a technology that is tried and true. I've been using Tealium for 12 years, I think now, a very long time. I've seen it evolve, and it has stayed at the front of how to do exactly this. So to answer your question, it's both, right? That's the ideal situation. But I want to hear what Matt really has to say about what higher ed is actually looking at.
Me too. Matt, please jump right in.
Yeah, no, I just had to tell the audience that I've met Nick earlier this week for maybe 30 minutes. And so he knows nothing about EdPlus, and he just basically right there, that is exactly what EdPlus's model is we do both as well, as we build and buy. And I think to your point, I mean, ASU is most innovative, 8 years in a row now. And I think we wouldn't be innovative if we weren't building. But in this use case, it was an absolute no-brainer to be able to have some of our other systems, integrations, platforms that we build and maintain and support internally, but having a CDP come in. We've been with Tealium for a little over 4 years, and having that success early on, specifically in EdPlus. So the rest of the university is just now really starting to see the benefits of using Tealium. So we're planning to move Tealium more to an enterprise approach across all of ASU, but right now, it's just been to be able to just integrate, and Jay, you corrected me earlier this week. I was saying, we can integrate with over 1,000 different tools, and Jay was like, no, it's over 2,000. So anyway, to have that ability to plug and play with Tealium is just incredible. And I just wanted to add, higher education, we're shorter on staff, we're shorter on budgets at time, but we've got a small AdSat team, which is our applied data science and technology team. Smaller team, we've got a handful of student workers helping out there as well. And so having a smaller unit to be able to plug and play with Tealium, this was an absolute win-win for us.
So not a trick question. You both answered it perfectly. I think, there's 3 kinds of CDPs out there, essentially. One is bring all of your data, right? So the big marketing clouds, they want it all. They say, recreate your world within the confines of our network, and then we'll activate it. The second is the hybrid, which is really what Tealium is, which is, hey, listen, choose your own adventure. If you have, we believe in build and buy. It's why we open up all our APIs. We want people to be able to build anything on top of and with Tealium. And then the third is, we don't want to hold any data. We're just going to reach in, grab something, and stream it someplace else. And, we believe, being the most trusted CDP, but also the most flexible CDP, it really helps our customers. And I think we've built it from the ground up with real time and flexibility in mind. And it's paid off for our customers. So thanks for that. Matt, how has the relationship between marketing and technology changed over the last 5 years?
A great question. We actually internally at EdPlus, we do have separate units for marketing and for our technology group. And what's unique, what we've seen recently in getting into Tealium and more communications, and we also integrate Tealium with our Salesforce Marketing Cloud instance. Being able to ignite those comms out to students at different times throughout their journey on our web environments or whatever has been fantastic. And it's interesting, Jay, because you wouldn't even think the two teams are two separate teams. Like, we're highly collaborative now. They're joining all of our tech meetings. We're joining a lot of their comms and technical and the Salesforce meetings as well. It is incredible to see that. Before, I think you would see a division, like, we can do this, you can do that, and it's no longer that. Like, highly communicative in Slack. It's been really a fantastic thing to see, at least within our environment, and we've got a good culture at EdPlus, so that helps as well. But that's where we're at.
Kumbaya, everyone gets along finally. It's a match made in heaven. Nick, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so Matt is the ideal client that we want to work with, where everyone gets along, and if marketing asks something to be done, then it's done quickly, and IT is on board and part of the conversation the entire time. I think the more reality is, the bigger the industry, or the bigger the client gets, the more disjointed it is, the more siloed it is, and that's because we've got, best term I can think of is dinosaurs who still have this demarcation of here's IT and here's marketing. It's not that case with all of them, but there are a lot of ones who are still operating off of tickets. We're still operating off of, we own all technology because we're IT, but you service the technology. But if you want to change the technology, you have to go through IT. And what we're trying to do as not just engineers, but as consultants as well, is break down those silos. Is help you to democratize the technology. Everyone says data democratization, but really tech democratization, so that everyone can use it, understands the value and what we're trying to achieve, because it means jobs, right? It means the benefit of those jobs for sure. And I think that I think we're really getting there. I think a lot of the really huge brands in the world are listening and are making strides to be more friendly to each other, to their counterparts, to their coworkers, and be more like Arizona State University, frankly. So I hope that continues to happen.
Something we see is that when you all of a sudden introduce an integration framework where things can become automated, many times IT has built processes around supporting said vendor, and all of a sudden marketing, they come over and say, wow, now we can have some of those workflows go through an automation infrastructure where we can build audiences, and it can automatically trigger and send messaging out to those other channels. And IT kind of cringes because they say, well, I don't want to rip everything I've done out, versus it's complementary. And so we have to kind of smooth that conversation over and let them understand that, like, this is a slow process. You don't run everything through your CDP, but you run specific operations, use cases, if you will, through a CDP, and it slowly will replace those manual processes. So it's a delicate conversation that we've gotten really good at. And Nick, I think you have over the years as well. So
yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's end it with a fun, hot topic. Gen AI. Everybody's talking about it. So is it an asset? Is it dangerous? How should we approach it? I think everyone's got ChatGPT up, and they're, typing questions in and having fun with it. But then there's real world use for Gen AI, I think. ML is great, doing predictive modeling, but this is new, this is different, and it came on fast. And everybody's super curious. And I'm sure as leaders in your industries, you're contemplating, how do we begin to fold this into our practice? So Nick, I'll start with you. What do you think? Gen AI, is it friend, is it foe? And how do we begin to embrace it?
Yeah, you can't ignore it to begin with, because it's everywhere. So I would just start to say, there's definitely several flavors of AI. We've always been combining ML/AI, right? That's always been what everyone has said. And now there's becoming more and more of a distinction between the two. They both do modeling. One's a lot more, let's call it automated, if you will, and learns. And then the other is, you hire a fleet of data scientists to continue to tweak the model behind the scenes. I think the concerns that everyone should really have as they engage with the model is what is training AI? What is the data set behind it? And if the data is bad or fake or malicious, then it's destructive because it's giving you opinions that are just not, steeped in reality, if you will. So ultimately, it's going to act as what we've all experienced over, the last decade or so, which is like fake news. Right. That's essentially what you're going to get from an output of a generative AI that's trained on bad data. But if the data sets are disclosed with these new AIs, and I've yet to see it with ChatGPT, they haven't disclosed what the data sets really look like. Then it can be really good. It can be really powerful. But since many are using the outputs really as starting points for their own writing, myself included, right? If I get writer's block and I'm trying to be articulate and I just can't get past it, I may turn to a solution and say, just give me some thought starters, and then I can tweak it, and then I can make it my own language, bring it back, edit it, reword it, just like a normal research paper. But if it's starting with a bad output, then you're kind of starting with a lie. And if you turn that into it, and then you look like you're stating something that's just kind of malicious, right? But if they're using verified AI, it's trained on good and real data, it can be a major asset. It can be far less of a threat. But Matt, I really do want to hear from you. And when we were prepping for the session and met each other earlier, I'm interested because I was a teacher for 3 years, so I'm interested on how you combat plagiarism as a result of AI coming to play and writing whole papers for students.
Yeah, it's great. So I'm sure all of you saw like the first week OpenAI came out, and then there were universities that were already banning it. And ASU's stance was more completely seeing this as a potential innovative moment. And so, yes, there are concerns, and we'll be watching that as we move forward. But this has been topic of conversation since that announcement at ASU. So we've got already multiple POCs. I think our concern too, Nick, is we see our students as like our client and our customer, and we want to make sure what information the AI could be presenting to them is accurate. Like we can't afford to give them misinformation. So yes, we're going to hesitate on putting it in front of the students' faces at this moment in that form. What we're looking forward to it is using it for our data in the background, and then using it for organizational also as well. But from a teacher perspective, even like think about this, we have what's unique about ASU Online is we utilize our on-ground faculty. They teach our online courses. Not all online schools do that. And so our on-ground faculty are inundated with courses and students and busy work, like lots of grading papers and all that. Like AI could come in with grading assist. They could assist with grading those papers. They could help with proctoring our online courses as well. Helping them write papers, and having that negotiation of like what is and what isn't working. I think the possibilities here are just endless, and it's extremely exciting. I think interactive courses, building flashcards and generating videos, unique assessments, and back to my previous comment of building dynamic pathways for that student, like the possibilities here are potentially endless. So but again, keeping that kind of and some sort of framework at this moment to really see where it's going to come out. And we internally are calling it kind of like a whack-a-mole game right now, because we're getting hit from all sides of ideas of how to use it in higher education. It's like, what's the first place to really focus on at this time?
So what you're saying is it's not Skynet. So that's good. Not yet.
Not yet. Not
And
yet.
remember, Cliff Notes have been around for a long time, and we figured that out, so we can figure this one out too. So
I agree.
Hey, we have a little bit of time. I have a question from Alan out in the audience. Hi, Alan. How important is maturing your CDP before attempting to leverage AI? So I think the data set, how mature does it need to be, your audiences, before you kind of let something run wild and start to give you feedback, if not, creating actions and marketing concepts, et cetera. So either of you want to jump in?
I would love to. Alan was a former client of mine, so I'd love to. It's very important. Because like I was mentioning before, if you're going to be training AI with bad data and you don't have a mature CDP with rich real data in it, then you're just telling the AI, and it doesn't know any better, right? It just trains on what you give it. So absolutely, you have to mature your CDP. You have to activate the real use cases. You have to have vast data sets in it that really inform what your brand is trying to do before you let an AI make any sort of decision for your business.
Great. Totally agreed. Matt, anything to add?
No, it's spot on. Yeah, absolutely. And I tried to show a little bit of that hesitation in my previous answer of yes, we need to make sure that things are in order before we go all in with that. So that's kind of what we're doing at this moment as well. Exactly what Nick said. Great.
So in parting, we have a couple minutes left. Any advice for the audience in when they see Gen AI, machine learning, AI in general, how to best embrace it? Should they, find a small project to try it? Should they push it off into another department? Should they ask their ML team and their, the machine learning organization? How should they best embrace Gen AI and AI in general?
I can try on that one. I would say baby steps for apply a very a use case that won't have as significant of an impact on the business. We have a real culture of experimentation at Acceleration, and we're always, in almost every single scope of work that I write, it has an A/B testing framework within it. Yep. So even with this, I would say you test its output against a control, rather than just saying, let it go and we'll just trust the results automatically. No, keep a control, keep it, and then use what the AI is outputting to see if it makes sense. Is it improving your business or not? And then keep an eye on it, even if it's wins, even if it's doing really well, because that's the whole point about AI is it's maturing, it's continuing to learn, it's continuing to retrain. So it may make a decision that's contrary to what your business is trying to achieve.
Yeah, I exactly right, Nick. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing smaller POCs. We're testing those A/B testing constantly. Our internal thing is if we fail fast and we move on to the next. And so I couldn't reiterate what you said there, Nick, any better. That's exactly how we're approaching it at EdPlus.
Awesome. Thank you for the advice to everyone. So this has been a fantastic discussion. Nick, Matt, thank you so much for your time, for joining us in Digital Velocity, for helping us close out this incredible event. Lauren, send it back to you.